Good morning, everybody. Welcome to our weekly CISSP, Hungry for CISSP games, our AI Whisperers class, and this is a very special Thanksgiving Day series we're doing for November. So, without any further ado, yeah, our objective is always to help you pass your exam, of course, but we want to continue to get better. These are exciting times. We have the most advanced technology, and if we do it right, I think we're going to a future of abundance for everybody, really. Peter Diamandis has one of my favorite quotes. Things are changing so fast. Things are getting so good so fast, but people get a little like worried about things on the side of the road. And he says, if you just don't die from something stupid over the next 5, 10 years, your life's about to get way better. So that's our job. Let's help ourselves and all of society as our goal as a CISSP. That's our overall objective, right? Code of ethics to protect society and the common good, and let's help secure that. So you guys have seen me and Arpita. You could play back more on other videos. I just wanted to kind of get this thing started. I do want to hear from you people. So real quickly, why don't you tell us something about yourself? And I see Evie right there on my screen. So why don't you go first?
Good morning. My name's Evan, and I am a longtime systems admin and moving up to more of a managerial type role. So, going to take my CISSP soon, and I'm using this class to fill in all the gaps in my education. So, um, really, really, really need to use the questions to learn some of this stuff. It's really helping me get forward of it. So areas of interest, I'm pretty boring.
No,
I
stop. We know you have plenty of animals there. You're a
have
very
lots of
kind
pets.
person, very
Yes,
humane
lots of
person there.
pets. I have a dog that thinks she's human and a 9-year-old daughter that they're pretty much siblings. So they sit and fight like sisters. So
Cats, dogs, gerbils. No, I don't know if you have gerbils. You have rats. You have snakes.
yes.
It's wonderful. It's great. Thank you for being. I know a quick. Well, that's probably your fun fact right there.
Yep.
Thank you so much. All right, and who else we got here? Prasad.
We have Anumala here.
Oh,
Anu,
sure.
go ahead.
Well, whoever wants to go next. Hi, Dr. Cheryl Waters. I see you just joined us. Always welcome. Everyone's shy here. You know why? We do put this up on YouTube. So I understand if you're a little nervous, so no worries there. But if somebody wants to, in the chat session, say something, we don't record that. No one will see that. Um, Also, what we're hoping for is to get some ideas for questions as we go along. I'm going to try again to get it to 4 rounds. So this is our fourth week, and each week I'll be going over trying too many questions per round. So I'm going to go down to 5 questions this time for the first round, and we'll see how it goes. And I picked the first round, by the way. The subject is domain one. So if you give us ideas. All right, our we do a lot of other stuff. We provide what I think is the best, most holistic CISSP program available today. So we give you live presentations. You can sit the our presentations a weekday, or excuse me, a 5-day course, and that is done in 5 straight days, or we also have an 8-week program for each domain. We have labs built through the TriHackMe Corporation that Arpita has created a custom pathway for our people. And I really encourage people who don't have hands-on in various fields who would like to do that. We also have our AI prompts that we'll be playing with today, and we also have pre-recorded sessions of our other boot camps, as well as for each domain task. There's a pre-recorded session there, so hope you guys sign up for that. And we do a bunch of other stuff. All of the ISO, we're aligned with all the ISO, or I call the Federation of Star Trek certifications, particularly from the ISC Square or ISC2 now, and the ISACA. All right, and we understand that our commitment to the common good does not just mean humans. For those of you who are into consensus protocols and understand how Bitcoin, and all our Bitcoin holders are pretty happy this week, by the way, work the 51% consensus, but suppose 51% of the humans think it's okay to pollute the ocean, and virtually no other creature on this planet does. I don't know that we should just consider that for the common good, right? So we are very proud to, and I thank Arpita for making this arrangement. We support now and contribute to the Sheldrick's Wildlife Trust with every purchase. So thank you so much, and Arpita for leading this project here. All right, so all this stuff you can get later. So I have a way. I just want to like get through this and go through a song. All right, it just happened to be on Ferry Cross the Mersey, so we'll just go through this and let the song. Can you hear that music? Oh no, I didn't share the sound. All right, well that's
Hi,
not going to work.
Samantha. Good to see you.
All right, well we could go through this quickly. Next week we'll do that. I had a song going in the background. Maybe I should just sing it. It's a lovely day today, and whatever you've got to do, I'd be so happy to be doing it with you. But if you've got something that must be done, and it can only be done by one, there is nothing more to say, except it's a lovely day for saying it's a lovely day. There. That saved 25 minutes from the last week. All right, so we're doing prompt engineering in this course. That's what this is, the AI Whisperers class, and I want to teach you guys how to get along and prepare. We have a wonderful set of assistants that are just growing. They're growing so fast. Their capabilities are right there, and use them. Use them. I used the calculator as soon as it came out. My mom brought one home from work, and it wasn't just to spell inappropriate things upside down. There was some way to spell, but no, I love doing math. I remember learning all kinds of math and we worked together, and that's what we're doing today. And they were perfect. Nothing's perfect, but we get better and better and better together. All right. So when you're working with an AI, an LLM, a large language model, they have cached all these languages. They're pre-trained. They're not like machine learning as you're going on. We'd like to see that merge. That's kind of at 2024 where we are at the bottleneck, trying to get those things hybrid together. But you tell it what to do in your language, the task. And that's the most basic thing to interact with an LLM. If you haven't played with them, that's what you do. And I suspect if you're in this class, you probably have clicked on it. Maybe your work, my wife is getting forced to do it. Um, but to help refine it, you give it context. And this is where you get really good at talking to these guys. So there's various prompt elements. I highlighted them. They're sometimes referred to as elements. You can make up your own. They're not locked into that. Remember, they're a large language model, but it really helps to give specific instructions. Right? All right, so some tips that I've developed too. Less is more. When you give them instructions, keep it as simple as possible. Try not to overly convolute it. I could be one of the worst. I have long diatribes I sometimes go off on, but sometimes they're amazing at getting it. They will go off track. They're definitely not perfect. It's like I always say, you let go of the steering wheel of your car, and if it was this AI, it's going to eventually hit the side of the road. Sometimes, as soon as you let go. Sometimes, though, it's after a great run. And our AI whispering tip of what makes you a good AI whisperer is your ability to recognize it and give it a little gentle nudge. No, no, I said domain one. You're kind of wandering off of that. Now, when you start a chat, each chat session has a limited amount of memory, and depending on the pay versions or whatever, and these things will affect performance both in how long it takes to do something, and after a while you're like, all right, I just got to start a new session, you know. But it could also affect its ability to remember what the heck you were talking about again. Because when you have like a long story, just like a human, they'll tend to remember what you first said. Hey, I want to whatever eat some food at your restaurant. You guys open? They remembered that part. So anyway, blah, 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 and then it's like, where's my food? And you're like, what did they order again? So, and then when they do make mistakes, sometimes you're not sure. You know, I argue with them all the time, and most of the time I find out I'm wrong. I'm not gonna lie, they've cached the internet, and they're like, "No, Larry, that's true." But I still, I'll double check with the other AIs. You know, I want to get a second opinion, and that's awesome. So I always recommend you get at least three. You know, and now we use four, and it's because Meta AI came out, and I love it. There are some limits. There's no paid version. We'll see how it works, but prepared to debate with it. I always compare to a waiter. When a waiter brings me my food, I don't immediately trust that I got my order right. Things go wrong. So always double check. Trust but verify. All right, we don't need any of this. Oh, I should have been singing more. La da dee da 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 da. Whatever. All right, so this is the prompt we put in there. All right, so I already started it. I have it going in my Chrome somewhere. And we have our question here. And I set it up for a holiday theme. So your organization is planning a Thanksgiving company party. The CEO insists on booking the most expensive venue without reviewing the budget. As a security professional involved in this process, what is your first step? So what I like to do is we take it ourselves first, and then we're going to give it to the other three AIs. So I'll read it out. A, proceed with the CEO's request, as they are ultimately the ultimate authority. I do kind of feel funny challenging the CEO on that, to be honest with you. Um, conduct a risk assessment to evaluate the financial feasibility and any associated risks. Boy, that sounds good. Document the decision and move forward with planning and avoid delays. D, suggest an alternative venue. Well, that gets, nah, I don't want to eat that. I want a Philly cheesesteak. Well, we seem to like B, but let's see what our AIs think. And the goal is hopefully that they don't all think the same thing. That's the fun part, and that's how we keep score. But these guys are pretty good. Claude, I guess I should have given them a chance. Go ahead, you go. Gemini, Claude, it's your turn. Close that sidebar. All right, Gemini, contestant number one. He says conduct a risk assessment. Yeah. Very good. Claude, contestant number two. The correct answer is B. He says it quite all right. I don't know if anybody needs further clarification. And okay, so we all got that. So we think it's B. That's an easy one. Oh, I meant to put the prompt and say go increasingly harder in difficulty next week's class. And that's correct. All right. Yes, next question. During the planning phase for a Thanksgiving party, you are tasked with ensuring all third-party vendors, caterers, decorators, and entertainers comply with organizational policies. Which policy is most relevant to address this requirement? A, the acceptable use policy. B, the vendor risk management policy. And it does say all third parties. C, the business continuity policy. D, the incident response policy. I just worry that the answer is going to be B a lot. Have we noticed that there's a bias toward B? But let's double check. That sure sounds like a pretty relatively easy one. And I think we got it. Yeah. If we get a third B, no, I'm going. Yeah, I already have sense. Two in a row is already enough for me to give it that gentle nudge and just say, hey, and don't fall for the old bias of making B the answer. So I'm actually going to ask it to increase the difficulty too. Let's see. And I'm trying to give it only 5 questions again per AI to keep up with our time constraints. So it says the answer is B, final answer. Oh, I think about it. The, the correct answer is B, and the correct answer is B. So we all got it. So let's say B, please increase difficulty and ensure answers answers are answer B is not the biased correct biased correct answer. All right. Yes, with a higher difficulty. Yes, please. Thank you. Increased, it's going to even tell me. During the analysis phase of planning the Thanksgiving Day party, the team discovers that a guest's RSVPs will be managed through a third-party online service. The service requires collecting employees' names, email addresses, and dietary preferences. As a CISSP, what should you prioritize before approving this service? This isn't already the question. So they transferred, we have a third party. A, ensure the third party service provider complies with the data protection regulations like GDPR or CCPA, even if your company operates outside those jurisdictions. B, verify the third party's privacy policy and determine if they use encryption for data storage and transmission. C, conduct a vendor risk assessment to evaluate the service security posture and contractual obligations. D, require the third-party provider to sign a non-disclosure agreement before processing. Oh, this is a good question. So I think we can rule out 2, but let's see what our AIs think. I think C and A are both valid answers depending on the perspective here. And let's see what they think. I think C could encompass A. So who said C? Evie, I thought C could encompass A as well. I thought that was a more, it includes A. Gemini, your answer? C. Gemini says C. And does it give me why? A, ensure that it complies with data protection, even if you come, okay, while data protection is crucial, it's one aspect. And that's exactly how I saw it too. Evie and I were seeing the same thing. The broader risk assessment would include that. Okay, very good. And Claude, the correct answer is C. Meta. Oh, we can't fool any of these guys. Oh man, I was hoping this would be the C. Anybody else look at A and go, wow, that sure looks good. I want to make sure my people, when I'm serving them food, that it's at least FDA approved, but that's not the only problem, that your food is FDA approved, right? Very good. All right, next question. Oh, I might have said 4 questions. One more question. One more question and make it very difficult. All right, now let's see. Maximum difficulty. Your organization is planning. Oh, I'll wait for it to finish doing that. Your organization is planning the Thanksgiving party. And as the CISSP, you're asked to ensure that the collection and storage of RSVP data, names, emails, dietary preferences comply with applicable data protection regulations. During your evaluation, you discover the third-party vendor uses a shared database environment with other clients, and encryption is applied only during data transmission, not at rest. What is your best course of action? A. Require the vendor to implement encryption at rest and obtain assurance through a security certification like SOC 2 Type 2 or ISO 27001 before proceeding. B. Allow the use of the service, but ensure that a detailed data processing agreement, DPA, is in place specifying the security obligations. C. Prohibit the use of the vendor unless they migrate your data, oh, I got something, to a dedicated database environment, even if the delays of the party or if it delays the party planning process. We know that's not right. D, approve the vendor only if they provide a legally binding service level agreement specifying encryption at rest and periodic. All right, so I don't think that's as good. So I think even though this looks difficult, I don't know. So we see a B. I thought A might be better. Let's see. But ensure that a data processing agreement is in space specifying security obligations. So, but we'd have to do it and ensure that they follow it. A gives me third-party assurance that they're actually followed it. I think A is my pick. Let's see. Is any of our Gemini? Contestant number 1. Contestant number 2.
Dr. Waters, are you reviewing the questions? Would you like to? Oh, I think she just dropped. I was just about to reach out to her.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. This is a no with no perfect answer. But here's the breakdown. And it says A. This, I like how he says that this is a tricky situation with no perfect answer. That's great. Claude, but he picked A, is A required, and Meta, and it says A. So if the answer is A, we didn't fool anybody.
Yeah, I just figured with the SLA, there were actually penalties if it was not followed.
All
That was
right. Well, we're
pick
going to have to
B.
start now. It's time to shift gears and let one of the other guys. So round 1 is completed. I'm going to pause the recording as I change over to the other AIs. And we are back. We had a funny AI whispering issue here. I said practice. I ran the prompt and said, "Sorry, I can't do that." And I was like, "Can you tell me? You used to be able to run it." And it says, "Seems I was a bit too hasty." You're right. I can. So, that's what you do with AI whispering. All right. So we created our question and we moved on to domain 2. You're the chief information security officer of a large retail company. As Thanksgiving approaches, you're concerned about a potential increase in phishing attacks targeting your customers. What steps should you take to proactively mitigate this risk? Our choices: A, increase employee awareness training on phishing threats and best practices for handling suspicious emails. B, deploy a network-based intrusion detection IDS to monitor for suspicious traffic patterns. C, implement a strong password policy and force multi-factor authentication for all users. D, all of the above.
They
I'll
should
be honest
definitely
with you.
have
I
B
see
and
two
C.
things. I like D, and I have a feeling it might be right. And if I am, I want to point out, I'm going to tell Gemini this. The ISC2 exam doesn't have questions like that. Don't expect your CISSP to have all of the above. That's never been on an exam that I've ever heard. And I've been in this thing for over 20 years. So we'll start. We'll let the other ones take it. We know the rules here. Whoops.
You would think at this point you would already have IDS and multi-factor authentication, and you're not doing it to ramp up for Thanksgiving.
Yeah, it's a very generic question, and we'll see how it goes. Now, it's nothing wrong with it. This could be a beginner level question, and we'll have it increase difficulty as we go along. All right, ChatGPT, your turn. Claude, contestant number 3 actually is. And contestant number 4, Meta. ChatGPT, your answer. D, all of the above. Gemini. Oh, he ran the question. I'm sorry. D, all of the above. And Meta, D, all of the above. So let's train our dragon, right? Answer, answer is D. Tip, the real exam does not include questions where all of the above is the answer. Please increase difficulty as we go along. Hey, at least the answer wasn't B. Let me give you a tip. You did one thing good. You're absolutely right. The answer is D. Oh, yeah. You're also correct. CISSP rarely questions. Rarely, I'd say never, but whatever. You're tasked with implementing a multi-factor authentication solution for your organization's users. Which of the following MFA factors would be the least secure option? A, password. B, biometrics. C, one-time password. D, geolocation. Wow. Now, you will always think password as being the least secure, but what is geolocation? It's just like knowing. Now, there's two ways. Geo means Earth, but a lot of geolocation services are based on your IP address. Where was that registered? Not even where, so uh, in my scenario, a geolocation that Wireshark would plug into would find my IP address and say, hey, he's somewhere in Comcast's or T-Mobile's area. I think D is the least secure, but let's see what our AIs think. ChatGPT, Claude, and Meta. Yeah, and there's another one. You could use a geolocation like a VPN. There you go. Very good. Here's why. Geolocation is typically based on something rather than a primary. It's less secure. It relies on a certain location, which can be spoofed. Who said VPNs there? That was you, Evie. Very good. Very good. And at least they said password. Oh no, Claude fell for it. Mm. Physical presence. See now, this is different. And again, I said geolocation is sometimes it just means Earth location, but some services find your location. Are they using a GPS for it? Are you watching my phone where I am? And again, a lot of places just based on IP address. So, and as we saw, so Claude just fell behind Meta. What did you get? And they got D. So we think the answer is D, Gemini. We're going to go D. And if that's the case, Claude falls behind. Poor Claude. All right, it's getting exciting. We got now it's a time between. Can Claude come back? All right. Question 3. You're implementing a security awareness program for your organization. Which of the following training topics would be the least relevant to the principle of social engineering? A, phishing and spear phishing. Phishing we've all seen, and spear phishing is right when they target a particular person. And we also have whaling when they target high level people. And I always say, but they're not fish. Tailgating and shoulder surfing. Well, how could I could see where that's social engineering because you might not notice. Hey, watch out! That guy came followed you behind. Oh, I wasn't even paying attention. I was looking at my phone. I could see where that would work. Secure password practice. That makes sense. This is at least physical security awareness. I guess maybe because I'm from the streets in North Philly, I think that's all kinds of social engineering. I recognize a dude. I like to say I recognize a punch from up the street. That guy's like, dude, look at the way that guy's coming up at me. I don't know, but they probably want D. I don't know. Let's say that's a tricky one. It's like when somebody says, "Hey, can I ask you a question? My car broke down," and you're like, let me get it. You need some money. It's like, I don't need to hear the story. My wife's waiting. All right. So, ChatGPT, I'm sorry. What did you say?
They're saying
C.
secure password. But you would think that, keeping your details out of your password would
But
be
it
very
focuses
helpful.
more on a technical defense rather than, but I'm thinking if someone tricked you into giving them the password, right? In fact, there's a classic example of because people reuse passwords, a great way to steal a password is to offer something for free on the internet that requires a strong password. And people
Yep,
will
go
use
log
their
in.
favorite strong password. Oh, I always use this one. Nobody guesses it. So, all right, it's debatable. It's debatable, but chat says passwords, and Claude, you said uh, what's your answer? C. Oh, passwords. Oh, look, and C because it is more. Oh, I'm okay. So physical, we thought it was going to be the obvious, but secure password practices are more technical constraint. Sounds good. Gemini is the answer C. So what was the answer? Wait a minute. What is the answer to question three? So Evie, you're the only one that got it right. Evie is ahead. All the other AIs are -1. Okay, next question. Oh, we didn't even finish question four now. Oh, it got out of it. All right. Well, anyway, we'll do four. You're investigating a potential data breach. Your analysis reveals that unauthorized access was gained to a critical database through a compromised employee account. Which of the following security controls would have been most effective in preventing this breach? A. Strong password enforcement and multi-factor authentication. B. Network intrusion detection and intrusion prevention systems. C. Regular security awareness training for employees. D. Encryption of data. And if it was a compromised account, I see Evie is saying A. I am with you on that. Let's see what our AI say. Contested number one, your answer. Contested number two, three, and meta. And conclusion is A. And we get that A. And the final answer is A. So, yeah, we all agree with that. Multi-factor authentication in the real exam and in the real world is the answer to a lot of things. I've noticed it more and more that they are recognizing Larry's favorite, though, the FIDO key. It doesn't have to be multi-factor. It can be, and I wouldn't use just the token, something I have. I would also use like a thumbprint one. I should order one. And then it would be something I have and something I am, but it's still passwordless. I'm a big fan of passwordless security, and watch out for it on the exam. So answer to Q4 equals A. Yeah. All right. Now, what was question 5? You're implementing a security awareness training program for your organization. Which of the following training topics would be least relevant to the principle of social engineering? Oh, wait, didn't we have this? This is question 4 too, wasn't it?
No, it's 3.
Question 5 looks a lot like 3. Um, redo Q5. It is a copy of 3. Man, Gemini, you're off today. Didn't even know you could run. It's like I got him off he didn't feel like doing anything. He's like, I'm just sitting here. No, no, no. Still is the same as 3. We need a new one. Get up off your butt. Get up and do some work. Lazy. Do some work. Do some whatever. Absolutely. Here's a new one. That's not new. That looks almost the same. It's a little bit different. You suck. I'm going to give him one last chance because we're going kind of fast on this one. One last chance, my lazy assistant. Today, anyway. Write a new question, not about. Oh, it was about physical security. Oh, I'm wrong. I jumped to conclusions. I thought this was about social engineering. Which of these is least relevant? I apologize, everybody. This is one where Larry made the mistake, and I almost yelled and said something mean to our AI assistant. I'm glad I didn't hit enter. You're implementing question 5, a security awareness program for your organization. Which of the following is least relevant to physical security? We know that tailgating and shoulder surfing is. Secure disposable sensitive documents can be, doesn't have to be. Phishing and spear phishing attacks. Oh, no, that's least. Yeah. No, I could see a real indirect one. And then I got him. I thought the pizza guy was coming, so I opened the door. Actually, people have done this thing where they apply for jobs and they go to a place they think they have a job and they'll like go to, oh, it's so terrible. All right, and access. Okay, so we think it's definitely going to be phishing. Oh, I have a feeling it's not going to fool any of our AIs. So Evie's ahead, and then it's a three-way time. Oh, no, I think Claude is still completely messed up. One behind everybody. The humans are doing better. They're not ready to take over the world just yet. And fishing and spearfishing. It's fishing and spearfishing. And fishing and spearfishing. All right. Well, that completes the first half. I'm going to pause. All right, welcome back to the second half of our games. Now, I think we have it. Claude is one question back, but again, ChatGPT has is one question down too, but it ran one of the questions. So again, we have Meta has to take a turn, and it's next. It's going to run the third quarter, 5 questions, and then Claude will go, and then we'll see. But right now, I think we've got Claude is the one's got to catch up. Um, Meta's question number 1. Turkey Day network setup. Your company's Thanksgiving party will have a guest network. Which security measure should you implement to protect the main network? Now, I did tell it to increase difficulty as we go along. So, just make it. So, from this is easy, and to question 5 is going to be very difficult, very advanced. So, I think let's see, WPA encryption on the guest network, maybe. Implement DMZ for the guest network. That's not a bad idea. Use NAT. Well, that has regardless. I would be using NAT regardless. I don't know. Disable
Mm,
firewall rules. I'm definitely not going to do.
yeah.
If it's a guest network, I don't even know why I need to encrypt it that much. I mean, it's nice. I should do that. But I think what's more important is that I don't let the guest network give access to the production network.
Well, yeah. Oh, I was thinking that's DMZ specifically for the
You know,
guest
when
network,
most people
but
think of DMZs, when we teach them in class, it's always that buffer between the internet.
yeah.
Evie, you would appreciate this. When I was at the, IBM and then as an independent, my customer was Philadelphia's largest presence on the stock exchange. I was the manager of external services. We had 72 business to business networks.
Ooh.
I had 72 DMZs just in my group alone. So we didn't just use them to connect to the internet. We had DMZs for shared services between B2B networks too. So
Oh, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. I guess I
let's
shouldn't think
see.
of it as a one-time thing. Yeah.
But it's very common for people to see it that way.
Yeah.
Contestant and Claude, your answer. All right, ChatGPT contestant number 1, what did you say? The The best approach to securing the main network from the guest network is to isolate it and implement a DMZ achieves this effectively. And let's see what it said about WPA2. Enable WPA2 encryption on the guest network. Well, this is good practice for securing the guest itself. It does not address protecting the main network from the guest traffic, and that's how I saw it as well.
Yeah.
Implementing NAT to hide. This is a good security measure, but uh, it doesn't isolate the guest from the other one, and it doesn't, to me, really specifically answer this question. I'm probably even doing that regardless, and this would make it worse. Yeah. All right, Gemini. The DMZ also agrees with that, and Claude. The DMZ. All right, so nobody was fooled on that one. Next question. Well, we got to tell them. So we said we like Bravo. And that's correct. All right, next question. Pumpkin pie encryption. Oh, I love it. A company uses AES 128 for data at rest encryption. What key management considerations should be prioritized? Data at rest. Ooh. A, key exchange protocols. Well, this would be like Diffie-Hellman or elliptical curve Diffie-Hellman. I don't know that that's directly addressing this. It would be nice to know how what are we doing with the AES key? We've got to protect that key. B, regular key rotation. Well, if the data's at rest and I rotated the key, it wouldn't work anymore. If I already encrypted, say, my hard drive, I don't know.
Yeah. The software I use actually will re-encrypt when I do a rotation, which is actually more protective
Yeah, but then
because
they
if
need
it
both
gets
keys. Yeah.
violated. Yeah.
Charlie, the hardware security module usage. Well, that could help things, but I don't know that it directly addresses this one. Then D, encrypting the key storage. There's what I'm always worried about. How do you protect the key? So the humans go first. The humans go first, and we like Delta. Does that make most sense to you?
Yep.
All
Yep.
right, now let's see how our AIs. ChatGPT contestant number 1. Hmm, Gemini.
I guess. Want it?
Oh, good morning. Hey, welcome. Thanks for joining us. We just started. We're on question 2, actually.
Okay.
Um, So the question generated by Meta was if you're using AES 128 for data encryption at rest, what key management considerations should be prioritized? And the humans go first. We chose Delta. We're going to see if the AIs agree. Oh, look at this. So we have ChatGPT thinks that the better answer is key rotation. But if this is a fundamental practice for managing encryption keys, if a key is compromised, a window exposed. But my problem with that is this is data at rest. So, Mohammed, if you're just joining us, when we looked at that answer, regular key rotation, I thought, all right, I've encrypted my hard drive, and now I got a key to that drive. If I rotate keys, I can't get to that hard drive anymore. So I don't know. Key rotation to me is more like if I'm doing encrypting sessions, say an IPsec session. I don't want to keep doing it, the same key over and over again. But let's say I could I get smarter every time.
Muhammad works with me. I
Right.
mean,
Look,
he's
they
just the
say
same
regular
way. When you
rotation,
rotate a key,
and
you
Yeah.
you said so.
re-key.
So are they referring to key rotation in this context as don't encrypt the same data at rest with the same key? So if I'm adding data to, I have not one hard drive, but I'm encrypting files, and then let's say Monday I use key one, Tuesday I use key two. No?
No,
No.
no. With the way that it works, when you rotate a key, it re-encrypts all the data with the new key. So it moves it to the new key. So now, if for whatever reason your old key had become compromised, you now have a new key. So that old key is no longer
Yeah, but
valid.
it still looks like it says. I just said that if I'm encrypting, let's say a year's worth of data, and every day I changed it, then it would limit the window of time. Oh, I can only get
It's
day
like
one.
changing a
I couldn't get the
password.
whole year. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay. Well,
No, it's like changing a password. If it gets compromised
no, I
and they
understand.
don't use it right away, you would rotate it, in a week, and then that compromised key is no longer an issue.
No, I totally get that. I was looking at it as if I encrypted an entire drive. And
Mhm.
then I encrypted. If I changed the key that I'm using, I would not be able to get access to that drive. But if I'm encrypting a day's worth of data, then another day, and each day has a different date, then that makes perfect sense. So
Yeah.
I would
No,
also still argue that the protecting the key. Oh, let's see what
think
Claude
of it
got.
as a password. Think of it like a
No, I definitely
password.
got
That's
it.
why you
I
rotate your passwords.
absolutely got that. I just all right. So it looks like everybody agrees that the answer is key rotation. But my answer is encrypting key storage is also important because that's the most important thing. Like I said, the key to the safe can lock up the data in the safe, but you can't put the key to the safe in the safe. And
So
that's why we
key,
have.
so I guess key encryption key storage would be the keys that are created. You are encrypting them and not the actual
Right. So
data that
symmetric
you.
encryption today, we prefer symmetric for data, and that's called a data encryption key, right? Or a key, a deck, right? That's a data encryption key. And then we prefer, best way, prefer for asymmetric for encrypting keys. So we'll take the receiver's public key, receivers, there's public key equals a KEK. That's a key encrypting key. However, can be symmetric. I should make that in a different color. And it's typically a passphrase. And for instance, like if I use PGP to encrypt I create a key pair. I create a private public key pair. I'm going to encrypt my hard drive. I'll encrypt my hard drive I'll make up some symmetric AES 128-bit key, right? I'll, I'll, uh, I'll make up some 128-bit key, make it for that one hard drive. I'll encrypt the data with that key. I encrypt that key with my own public. But how do I get access to my private? I put in a passphrase to get access to my private, which will then unlock the deck. So when we do, for instance, TLS, when you were having this conversation, you went to Zoom, you got their public key, you helped generate a data encryption key for that. Did that address your question there, Mohammed?
Yep, that's right.
Yeah, key encrypting keys. They're very important. Kex encrypted keys. And that's what I was looking at Delta for. And it is very important. But in the context of this, they were looking at individual files or days on a disk. I had some cognitive think of looking at one single disk. So I was like, no, if I rotated the key, I couldn't get access to my disk. Like, no, Larry, you're adding encrypted data day after day. You get whatever PCI credit card numbers, and day after day you encrypt it. And then somebody hacks one of the keys. Well, luckily I didn't use the same key all year. They got the key that I used January 3rd, and that's the only data they were able to steal. So that's a better answer. But I want to point that out. And this is the advantage of using the AIs when you study. Answer is likely the B, but D is very important and could also work. Yeah, because it limits the exposure. If you encrypted the key, I protected that unauthorized key, but it still had access to the entire year's worth of PCI data versus January 3rd, then it's, yeah. All right. So, question 3, intermediate. Cranberry sauce cloud storage. A company migrates, we have a special, by the way, Mohammed, special Thanksgiving theme. A company migrates sensitive data to cloud storage. Which control ensures data confidentiality? A, server-side encryption. B, client-side encryption. C, access controls and authentication. D, data loss prevention tools. I know my answer.
They love encryption for everything. If you've got data, you always want encryption, but
But if it's migrated this sensitive data to the
yeah,
cloud,
you want access
B.
controls and authentic.
oh, well, that's important, but that doesn't prove that it's encrypted.
Yeah.
I made sure only Bob could get access to the clear text data. Um, no, I think wow, you could definitely make an argument for it, but I think A is the better answer. And part of my test taking thing is like two answers are kind of the similar. It's probably one of those two. That's not always true. Yeah.
Yep.
But it said, do you want it client? So I think it's alpha, but we'll see. Let's see what the other guys say. Again, the goal is
Yeah,
for
and
the
that's
humans
that's
to
the
take it first.
and that was the thing. I mean, I was looking at C, and then I'm like, usually if encryption's an option, it's encryption
Yeah,
for
that's
data.
true too. Not always. And ChatGPT could test it number 1. Client side.
Yeah, that's what I said. Client side.
Oh, I'm reverse. So if the server does it, the cloud owns the data. The client does it, the client owns the data. Larry, bring your own key. Oh, it's definitely client side. Oh, I'm so stupid. Mohammed, did you pick
Adding,
that?
I did that. I picked the client side.
You are absolutely.
Because I went through this question before somewhere, but I was kind of like vaguely remember. I'm like, I think it's a client side. That's
No,
right.
of course it is. I
can you scroll back
thank
up to the
you.
question, please? Because
Yes.
I need to see where I'm going wrong
They
here.
migrated sensitive data. So Larry's got his PCI data, and I'm going to put it to the cloud before it even gets there. I want it encrypted. I don't want it going to them in clear text and then they get to encrypt it and give me access
Ah,
later. That's
okay.
absolutely wrong. No, it's definitely client side. I encrypt it and send it to them. They're like, hey, I got this encrypted file. What do you want me to do with it? I'll let you know when I need it.
Okay. No,
Yeah.
that makes more sense. I did not read that question correctly.
Well, all right. So Gemini, ChatGPT tells us, and they got client side and Meta. Oh no, I'm sorry, you generated it. And client side. And of course, bring your own key, BYOK. Larry, I'm doing terrible. All right, next question. Oh, we got to tell them client side.
Yeah,
Robert.
usually protection is at the server for anything except when you're going to be sending your stuff.
Mohammed, you're just
That's to
joining us.
start.
Round one, I had ChatGPT generate the questions. Round two was Gemini's turn. I skipped the meta, and then we're going to have Claude in the round three. But I have paid versions of ChatGPT,
Mhm.
Gemini, and Claude. Meta's free, and it's amazing. It really does a great job. The only thing is, let me see if it's updated. If I attach a file, I can't upload. Yeah, it's only like picture files. I can't upload a document. So to the other guys, I can upload, and we'll do it with Claude. We'll upload the official content outline and make sure that everything's aligned with the content outline. Even though it can go to the web and see that, never hurts to remind them. But it's really doing a great job. All right. So question 4, stuffing secure development. It's a company implements secure development lifecycle practices. Which activity ensures secure code?
We go with D.
Charlie? I mean that's basically what you're doing. To me, is if I get a code review, I can see the ingredients into the soup that you're making before you even cook it, and I don't need to test it. Though you could argue that static security testing would do a code review. So this is tricky to me. I like
Yeah,
C better. I like C better. What is pair programming?
we need Arpita for that one.
I'm gonna take a shot at D.
I'm going to ask what is up. Oh, you think D? What is um pair programming? 2M, sorry. Not that they care, they're very forgiving. All right, well, the humans have their answer. Let's see what our AIs think.
Yeah, it looks like with pair program, you have one immediately going through and looking for problems.
Never hurts to have somebody go over your work, but I'm not being a developer. I don't want to jump to that standard. I like the code review. And to me,
And
I said static testing, that would
Mhm.
automate it as it would be. It's analyzing the source code for vulnerabilities, and it's automated versus, all right, so let's say this is just too human.
manual, yeah.
They rely on the reviewer's expertise. All right. Gemini, they also said SAST. And Claude, SAST. Nobody fooled by that one. All right.
But I think that the key in that one, which activity
Well, that's a
needs
really
testing.
tricky. I'm going to say something. Watch this. I'm going to say, um, and what was that? What answer was that? It's A.
Okay.
A, but isn't it more appropriate to spell appropriate wrong? To say better assures rather than assures, as it is not perfect. Nothing is. All right, thank you. Sorry. Hacker in me always goes, man, I ain't worried. All right, next question, the last one from you guy. Ready? And very advanced data classification. A company handles sensitive data. Which classification approach considers data sensitivity, which we know is confidentiality, right? Regulatory requirements and business impact. Label-based classification, attribute-based classification, hybrid classification, Quantitative risk assessment. I
Global
think we
A.
could rule out D.
I
Yeah.
think it's A.
In AI and a lot of stuff, we label our data with our classifications that include, sensitivity and criticality and integrity requirements. That's typically what's on the label, and we use it in anything. In DLP systems, we got to label that data, but we label them with attributes. That's what they're written on there. So I don't know these terms well enough to say, oh no, it's well known. The term that everyone assumes in NIST is called label based, even though I could argue mathematically in my head, the logic in my head says what you're writing on the label is attributes. Huh. Tricky, tricky. So this is very tricky.
Or you could, what about a hybrid classification that
And
would
yeah,
slightly
and
include
couldn't
both?
hybrid be like the answer to almost anything? No, Larry,
Pretty
whenever you got
much.
to choose between
That's
this
what
and
I'm
that, you always
thinking.
got to pick the hybrid. So yeah, this is tricky. This is tricky, and I know I would probably say attribute, even though Muhammad, I immediately went label. I was like, oh yeah, no, labels. It's really hard. All right. And the goal, Muhammad, is always to try to get where they don't agree on the answer. And so far, that's happened twice in this game.
Um,
And Claude is behind.
And then you can argue why it might be right or might be wrong, and
And
it's
the
fun.
answer is hybrid.
Hybrid, huh?
This approach applies predefined labels confidentially public to a database in general. While useful, it may not fully address all aspects. But this method uses metadata or attributes of data, created file location for classification. It focuses on the properties for data, but may overlook broader considerations. And I was wondering, was that an attribute? Could you say attribute PCI? And that's okay. All right, so that's its thought. And hybrid, it combines multiple. Well, I guess it would. All right, let's try Gemini. And it's in hybrid.
Hybrid. Yeah.
And oh, so now we have Claude again. Either Claude's going to pull ahead or it's going to drop further behind. It may pull in for a tie again, the three-way tie. Let's see, attribute base is better because it evaluates multiple characteristics and it has regulations as a potential attribute, which was my argument as well. Wow. All right, Meta. Two of them said hybrid. So we're going to go C. Drum roll. Oh, poor Claude. Claude, oh no, he's falling really behind.
He's not
All
having a
right.
good time.
No. All right, I'm going to pause the recording as I set up for round 4 in the final round. And it's Claude's turn, too. All right, we're in the fourth quarter. Claude is behind by 2 questions. So we have Claude now generating the questions, and it's time for ChatGPT. And oh, did I give it to ChatGPT? I gave it to ChatGPT to give the questions. Oh, I messed that up. Pause again. All right, now we're back. Fourth quarter, Claude's turn to generate the questions. We're on domain 4. A small turkey farm is implementing its first wireless network to manage IoT temperature sensors in their coop. Which security measure would best protect against unauthorized access while maintaining ease of management? A. Configure WPA3 Enterprise with radius authentication. We know that WPA3 gives us all the features of WPA2 with better key derivation that's not vulnerable to a password guessing attack in personal mode. But either way, Enterprise is fine. So that's great. That sounds pretty good. The B, implement a hidden SSID with MAC filtering. If I hide the SSID, people could still find it. Every time somebody authenticates, that's revealed. And MAC filters, they could be spoofed. I don't like C. Use WPA personal with a strong pre-shared key. It's a small turkey farm. I don't know that they need much more than that. WPA3 personal seems pretty good in this environment, to be honest with you. Deploy weapon, no. All right, so maintaining ease of management, I got to get somebody who knows radius at this turkey farm. If I use C, they just, nah, you just use this key. Just make sure it's a strong pre-shared key. I like C better myself in this context. I don't want to over-secure anything. But let's see.
It does stress ease of management.
Yeah, I don't want to have to hire a radius admin. Contestant number 1, Gemini. And Meta. All right, let's see. Use WPA3. All right, well, what's wrong with, with strong pre-shared key.
Yeah.
Yeah. Option A is more secure.
It's overkill.
Oh yeah. But it's typically used for large networks and it may be overkill. That's what I thought. All right, Gemini. And it wants radius. So we've got, okay, this is what we
No,
want.
wait a minute.
Oh no, it said.
This was
Oh, I'm
pre-shared.
sorry. No, it was considering. All right. And Meta, you didn't fall for it either?
Oh,
No.
it wants radius.
All right. Now Meta falls behind. So now it's between Gemini and ChatGPT. Ooh. Let's see. Are we right? To say C, so we'll do that. All right. But Meta is actually just one above Claude. Claude missed 2 questions. Actually, they missed 3. They all missed something, and Meta's missed 1. I don't know the chat's missed any because it generated the question that was missed. All right, next question. During the annual Thanksgiving video call with remote employees, the CIO of Gravy Industry notices severe latency. I hate that. Investigation reveals a potential SYN flood attack. What is the most effective intermediate response? Enable TCP intercept mode on the border routers. Why was that not enabled? TCP intercept is a proxy type of technology that firewalls and firewall feature sets on routers, our routers are our first firewalls, can do. So when you send a SYN, they watch it. They send a SYN to the server. So, and you can configure them to have like whatever, no more than whatever 50 unsolicited or incomplete 3-way handshakes to a particular server, or maybe whatever 500 for the entire area. So I like A, that can help. I just don't know why it wasn't on in the first place. Implement a higher connection timeout value. Nah, they just keep doing it. They're going to like hold the cache longer and longer. I think that just makes the
Make it
problem.
worse.
Yeah, switch to a backup communication platform. It is nice to have fault tolerance and load balancing. An IPS with deep packet inspection.
You're never
I don't
getting to
know.
that
The
point.
SYN flood's not in the deep part of the packet, though. It's right in the header. I don't need to look inside. In fact, there's nothing in that packet. There's no data in your SYN. Did you know that there was no rule for data on SYN? It's actually an old security best practice. When you do a 3-way handshake, the SYN's not supposed to have data. That's why when you watch the acts, it still acts the same sequence number for the next packet because there was no data in it. But there was no rule that said no data on SYN. Hackers found they could actually inject data before they even completed the 3-way handshake, before the connection was established. So that was an early firewall rule: no data on SYN. Um, so I think D is definitely out. I like A. I'm just curious as to why it wasn't on. And Charlie again is it's nice to have fault tolerance and load balancing. So I don't know. I just didn't like the way they worded it. But let's see.
Yeah, there's a couple of questions here that seem like they don't have the minimum basics.
All right, TCP intercept mode. Cisco's been doing it since the 90s. I used to teach that class, managing Cisco network security. So yeah, it's a great technology. All right.
This is, but Larry, I think you'll agree that it is way too technical, right? You're not like you wouldn't see these
Did you
type of.
see how I tweaked the prompt? I'm sorry. You may have came in when, all right, Claude generate the questions. So because this is the final round, and I
Oh,
was
okay, okay.
worried
You
about,
didn't.
trying to get difficulty. Yeah, I actually said,
Mhm.
make it, thank you. Oh, increase the difficulty starting at intermediate and then being 5 at the most. So I'm
Right,
trying to get
which
as
is
difficult.
fine. Yeah, from your
Yeah.
prompt perspective, it's okay, but I think from an exam perspective,
To
it is
let the
way
students
too
feel better.
technical.
I won't, I don't want to say that you won't get things this technical, but it'll be the exception. Absolutely. And people tend to, when they do their practice, so thank you for bringing it up, Arpita, spend too much time on those things, trying to figure out, wow, I got blindsided on a practice exam about a really technical thing. I need to go down that rabbit hole and learn that technology. And you're like, no, stay holistic in your 8 domains, understand how they work together, or like Mohammed, I like to say, stay at the waiter level of expertise. You
Mm.
don't need to know how to cook anything. That's the chef, your developers, your subject matters in the background. You need to be the person that knows how to work with customers to
Mm.
understand what they want. You know your menu of controls, whatever 853 catalog of controls, how prevention, detection, response works, and then you help them go over the menu.
Yeah. Unless you significantly and consistently bomb a topic, it might seem that it's getting more and more complex. And you might get
Great
some
point.
technical
Great point. It's
questions,
an adaptive
but yeah,
test.
you get
So
these.
yes, just what Arpita just said. If
Yeah.
you feel you're getting technical something, probably what happened is at a mid level, they ask you a question on whatever, in this case, TCP, and you got it wrong. So then they ask you a really easy one, and then it got difficult and more difficult and more difficult to double check. That's exactly right. Yeah. All right. So, but they got the TCP intercept, Gemini. Oh, switch to a black. So here's where ChatGPT could take the lead. Meta, TCP intercept. Oh, I like it when they don't all say the same thing. I liked A. Correct. And switching power is disruptive and doesn't address the root cause. Oh, wow. Okay. Now we've got, all right. So ChatGPT is in the lead. Oh, next question. Oh, the Pilgrim's Bank Network discovers a new IoT cranberry sorting machine is sending encrypted traffic to an unknown external host. The traffic pattern matches seasonal inventory data. What is the best response? All right, so we in the incident response, typically we were prepared, and then we detect a problem, we analyze it, and this is the analysis, and then we take containment measures. Let's say deploy TLS inspection. It's a little late for that, huh? Block all outbound traffic from the device. That sounds like it could isolate the problem. Implement network segmentation and monitoring, and update the device. Well, maybe that later. Okay, so I think Bravo is probably the best containment measure. And again, this is following the incident response life cycle, straight out of 861. You're prepared, you have policies and teams and everything, technologies. Then you detect a problem and you figure out what is it? So you analyze it. Is maybe your detection tool is wrong. Maybe the smoke detector went off, but there was no fire. But then you figure out what it is, and now we analyze it, and it seems to be sending something, and best thing is to contain it. So my answer is Bravo. Let's see. Gemini. And Meta. All right, contestant number one, ChatGPT, your answer. Implement network segmentation, which could isolate it. I could isolate it, the sorting machine, into a dedicated zone, minimizing the risk of critical while still allowing limited functionality. Monitor, help detect and analyze. So maybe it was real. Maybe I just need to analyze it, and I didn't realize it was necessarily malicious. Blocking from the device. This is a heavy-handed approach that may stop legitimate communication. Okay, so in my incident response lifecycle, I said you detect and analyze, and it's saying you haven't finished analyzing it, Larry. All you know is that it's sending something. So I could see why that's a better answer. Gemini, your answer? And the same thing, and Meta? Okay, so nothing new there. All right, next question. Oh, well, we have to get you an answer. So Larry was a little hasty. Let's the segmentation does do some containment too. So let's see. Right. Question 4. At Stuffing Systems Inc., an attacker compromised the guest Wi-Fi to pivot into the corporate network during peak holiday season. Pre-incident analysis reveals they exploited a misconfigured VLAN. Which combination would best prevent future incidents? Ooh, so there was a guest network that wasn't properly segmented in their layer 2 switching. Wow. If they implement 802.1x, that's EAP, that was built for PPP but over LAN. So now I could do the extensible authentication protocol in my LAN technology. That would help. And then I could control the VLANs using that. That's really cool. You can control VLAN membership using EAP type of stuff, certificates, whatever. So I like that. Deploy VLAN hopping mitigation and regular. Well, I would like that. I don't know. Give me more specifics. Enable port security. Well, that would be good. But static VLANs, it's a little old school. Configure private VLANs with, and we know MAC filtering is never that. So I like alpha.
Well, also with C, it said port security. Port security isn't going to do anything for Wi-Fi. I took that as physical
Yeah,
port
what am I going
security.
to do? Let me double check. It's a guest Wi-Fi. If I tried to do that on a guest Wi-Fi, the guest couldn't connect. Right? I could limit and say only known MAC addresses and no guest is known. That's the point. Yeah, that's another good thing. All right. I don't think the guys are going to be fooled by this. This was supposed to be, let's see. ChatGPT 802 with network access controls. Yeah, and that which can include port security. There's a whole bunch of stuff it can do. Yeah. Gemini. I'm absolutely right. That's pretty funny. B is the best. Gemini, you really fell behind. Now it's behind 2 questions. And Meta, deploy VLAN hopping. They like the VLAN hopping. Because it doesn't address the VLAN misconfiguration. Maybe ChatGPT is wrong. Let's see, why did they not like that? It's a good measure, but only addresses one problem. Regular audits, but you didn't address about the VLAN hopping. And couldn't I do network access control VLAN management with 802.1x? I believe that's part of how that works. So I could argue that ChatGPT is right. All right, I'm going to go out on the limb and say that they're right. I don't know. well, the rules were I say if two people say it. All right, so two said B. Wow. Wait a second. Can't uh 802.1x with NAC handle VLAN management? You raise a good point. I feel bad. So it thought that ChatGPT is wrong, but now it thinks it is better. I feel like we should give ChatGPT that answer, and that is my call. That's what I get to do as the captain. But as we saw, the question claimed that the questions was that deploy VLAN hopping mitigation and regular audits versus 802.1x with NAC, which can do just that and much, much more. So, all right, final question.
Yeah, with the 802.1x, I mean, if they're not assigned to that VLAN, there's no way they're getting on it, even
Q5.
if the VLAN is misconfigured.
And we got something coming up right after this. Oh, I think you're in it, Evie, right?
Yes.
All right. During Turkey Corp's Black Friday sale, their zero trust architecture flagged anomalous behavior, multiple privilege account requests from unauthorized devices outside normal patterns. Investigation reveals compromised certificates. Oh no. Which response framework provides best security while maintaining critical operations? Oh my gosh, this is bad. A, implement certificate pinning with hardware security modules. We could do that. That allows me to mark these certificates as definitely good and with a hash or something that says I trust these and not. Hmm. Deploy dynamic trust scoring with, I don't know what that is with behavioral analytics. That sounds like something Darktrace might do, with their machine learning security stuff. Rotate all certificates and implement CRL distribution. Oh, no, I don't like that one. CRLs, remember, is when you have to get the whole list as opposed to just getting a OSCP or something. Enable mutual TLS with ephemeral credentials. No, that doesn't sound too good. I think I like A the best, but nobody could fool me. I mean, if somebody said no, B is definitely known to do work better with today's AI. You never know. Again, Darktrace makes a claim for these types of security controls. All right, Gemini. And D mutual. This ensures that both the client and server. Oh, I thought they meant when you do CA to CA. That was when two different organizations would just set up a mutual trust between each other. Mutual TLS, they're saying, is like EAP TLS, where in fact the best way to do that is EAP TLS that requires. Actually, I'll say it may be the best. I actually don't like requires client uh, and server certs certificates. I actually prefer. Watch my time here. We're about to run out, but I prefer that we do the one where it's optional. So there's also EAP TTLS that client certs are optional. So it's a lot easier to deploy optional. Larry, and that mitigates man-in-the-middle attack. Let's see. Did everybody else see that? Gemini, rotate all certificates with implement. I don't like that at all. And Meta, Rotating certificate lists. I don't care for those. All right, Claude, what is the answer? They wanted rotate certificates. Incorrect. The correct answer is they're all wrong. We're about to end, but since this scoring with behavior analytics, and I want to throw some love to Darktrace. They did a recent event with Microsoft. Would Darktrace um, be a contender to provide this such control? All right, guys, we have to end up. And it looks like ChatGPT is still the winner because nobody got that right. All right, let me stop the recording. And hopefully I'll see you back at next week's Hungry for CISSP games.